Abigail Levine went on to the Infinite Loop in April of 1997. Here's something that I wrote in February of that year that I actually was able to read to her before she slipped away from us. Seeing Abigail in the hospital bed that is now in the room where I used to sleep when I would visit was an experience that I did not look forward to, but I knew was crucial for me to do to help me turn her back from this critically ill friend of mine into the person she was, is, and always will be. I became glad for the little triumphs, the pained smile at some of my silly jokes, her own slow shards of deep black humor, and above all, her success in staying in her own space instead of languishing in a depressing, emotionally debilitating hospital room. Though her spirit may wax and wane, her dignity will never waver. Kick ass, Abby.
This recipe is a wedding of two great cultures. Tahini, the nutty-tasting Middle Eastern treat, is made from ground sesame seeds, and tangy miso, which hails from the mysterious Orient, is made of fermented soybeans. Now I know what you're thinking. What kind of hippie bird food is this anyway? Well, let me tell you. This dip is a real crowd pleaser. The whole gang will love it, just as much as that other party dip that you make from dried Lipton onion soup packets. Shall we begin? Miso tahini party dip. First, a couple of words about miso. Use very little. It's really briny, and the kind which tastes best in this recipe is the color of butterscotch and is made from soybeans only. Don't use the ones which are darker and have barley or rice in them. Anyway, take a few tablespoons of miso and mix thoroughly with a little bit of water to make a thin paste. In a bowl, combine about a cup of tahini and 3/4 of a cup of water. Add the miso paste and stir thoroughly. Now add lemon juice until the texture is suitable for a dip. Taste it. If you want it to be saltier, make more paste with miso and water and add the paste. Grind in lots of fresh black pepper. That's basically it, but I usually add another ingredient or two for taste novelty. For example, 1 or 2 cloves of garlic, very finely chopped. Or sometimes, when I want a slightly different taste, I add a bit more water and some nutritional yeast. I know, total hippie crap, but it really tastes good. One restaurant uptown, which makes this, adds shredded carrots, and another one chops some scallions over the top. My serving suggestion is to try it with little wedges of toasted pita bread, but it's also just great with crackers or with breadsticks.
Oh, it is a beautiful day here today, isn't it?
Hallelujah, T.
Hey, man, it's no accident that we woke up this morning. And
Hell no.
I tell you, when I think about it, our trusty 8-track player is back out here on the streets. We're out here reaching the sinners.
Amen, Diggy.
You know, there was a time when I was mighty involved in 8-track, and I even had one of them dance tapes. Look at that.
Disco Chicago.
You know what? I'm still dancing. I just changed partners, that's all.
Amen.
Amen.
Dancing with the J-Man.
Amen. You know, we got to be out here and get the message out. And if we got to use our 8-track player to do it, then we do it. That's what the Lord wants.
Whatever tools the Lord give us.
Amen. Amen. Don't be spending all that church's money on newfangled stuff.
You don't need no MP3s.
No, none of that.
Don't need no DVDs.
You know, I used to drink. Now I'm a little more sober. I used to be a liar. Now I'm a little more honest. I used to visit the riverboats every day. Now I just visit the collection plate. I'm gonna reach somebody today. I think it's time to save a soul. I think we gotta go out and grab somebody. I think we gotta go out and touch somebody. And man, and I know you
We
with
know
me.
they need help.
I know that there's so much wrong that they need a way out of their whiskey bottle,
Way out of no way.
their ice houses, their Jim Daniels. Hey, you over here, come on and get the word. Come here and get the word. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. You don't need that coffee cup. I got something else. It's the non-dairy creamer. I got something for you. I got some power for you. Come on, I know you hear me. I got the word. I got the word here today. Amen. Amen. And none but the righteous word. One for you too, lady. You take it, please. And we got these here 8-track tape for you. You got the Tuttle family giving you the word. And here one for you too, still sealed in the plastic bag. Now go home and play those. It's going to change your life.
Okay, I'm gonna go. You ready? Okay, go. The 8. I saw it as the real. The 8. I saw the light that told a certain story. I saw the fear. Fear that was good drink. A time in, time out. My farthest dream. A long dream. Do you hand down the handed down, generation to generation? I get a copy of the history duped off with hand marks and cool versions of your leftover obsessions. The real. I saw it as 8. Like the crossed eye of a one-eyed dog, air to breathe, the breath. I saw it as real. And the hand marker drink me down quick. Stand lost or not at all. 8-track lives. And I get to go when I go. And that's all I go as I go. For the long way to stand is a pretty good way to stand against the poetry that machines make as they fall upon the ground. I'm not sure the works are fragile, but I'm not up against my mark at the takers and the planners of what I get to work out. There is a very dedicated place I would like to be in the future that resembles the past tense. Got a phone, a good phone to ring, and the ring won't find me. A wake-up call for the missteps. Things that go 8. 8 arms to hold you. 8 days a week. Magnificent 8. Okay, 7. Octagon, octopus, 8-track. 8-track versus the asterisk. The footnote that I wrote. The place I hold in my heart is in the place. I hold in place, the place for the 8-track tapes.
I dropped something.
Hello? Larry's on.
Ouch.
I'm on. Scott's on. Ken?
I think so.
And Russ?
Happy Mother's Day.
All right. We're all here.
This is a new CD I just put out. It's called Stimuli. It's a project that I did with the lady Laurie Damaris. And what we did is use the 8-track player here. And every time a new track starts,
Malcolm Riviera here. Hi, folks. I'm going to talk a little bit about 8-Track Heaven. It started as kind of just an experiment, mid-90s. My good friend Abigail Levine and Chip Rowe. Abigail learned a little HTML, and she put together the first website. I think I scanned a couple of my tapes, and it was very rudimentary, just some text and on a black and white page. And it just kind of went from there, and within about the first year we had garnered a little following, and people were sending us email and saying, wow, I'm glad you're out here. I thought I was the only person who still collected 8-track tapes. And 5 years later, I still get a lot of email with that same message.
The style of the inside of them were such that there was little space between each one. It would be held at the bottom, at least in this kind of case, as if they were, kind of nuclear fuel pods or something. They had to fit into their each thing there. With CDs, people are now buying these shelving units that take up twice as much room as the CDs need to, because they're treating each one as a separate space with little footings between them. It made a certain sense with the 8-tracks to have that, because this was the case, and the tapes just exposed. But with the jewel cases not touching each other, that doesn't really make much sense to me.
kind of an interesting anecdote is I run a recording studio in New England here. And when I was painting it and doing all the final finish work, I ended up bringing down to the studio my 8-track player. So for about 3 or 4 days in this big high-tech studio, what was I listening to? 8-tracks.
Lou Reed claims, and I've been told I should probably have a high level of doubt about the story. He claims that when they did the quadraphonic version of Metal Machine Music, that they ran the stereo channels through the first 2 tracks, and then they reversed the tape for the back channels.
8-track magic is the phenomena that happens when you take an 8-track cartridge and put it in, and magical sounds come out that weren't on the original master tapes by the artist.
Okay, this is always a big moment, opening up a sealed 8-track. That good sound.
That old shrink wrap, 20 years old or more.
That's right.
More than 20 years old.
Every sha-la-la-la, every word
And here we go.
In it goes. Now to start it up.
Yeah, that's slow.
Beautiful.
Yep, that's it.
This is the sound.
I don't know, or heaven.
Is there something unique about the sound quality to you?
Does anyone want to answer this?
absolutely
Larry wants it.
unique.
Larry wants to
Definitely.
take this.
Well, yeah, it has a really kind of a thick, what the kids call it fat these days, right?
Is that P-H-A-T?
Yeah, that's right.
There's something been lost in the last 5 or 6 years, and that seems to be the whole notion of the 8-track representing a part of culture, kind of like the old punk rock culture that said, well, we're not going to do things the way everybody else does it. You know, there was a lot more to it than just it being a collector's item.
I was glad that a woman called in, because the 8-track world is becoming more and more like a boys' club.
It is
That's
totally a
we're part of the problem. It's four guys here, or 5 guys here.
Maybe we should just like stop listening to 8-tracks altogether.
8 tracks. Collectible. I knew it would happen. It sucks. Everything's going to have a value, you know? A lot of money here. John's children? Fuck them.
Got the Sex Pistols on cassette and 8-track. That's the only cassette in here. I don't know how that cassette got in here.
And I noticed this magazine that was on the counter that had corners cut. And thought, wow, this is something for me, because I'm a closet 8-track junkie. I love 8-tracks. So I picked it up, and then I saw the Eternal Truths on the back cover, and from that point on, I remember the Birdsongs were flying to Hawaii. We were performing after the Seattle show, and we were passing that thing back and forth in the airplane. We could not get enough of it. We were totally flipped.
Got some email from the Melvins not too long ago, and they are releasing an 8-track and selling it at their current tour.
No, in a lot of ways, I think the 8-track culture, it's become your family. It's an extended family of weirdos, drug addicts, strange people that have passed away.
This one is one of my most prized. This one belonged to Abigail, and Scott gave this to me after she died, and I keep this here in the museum, and I remember Abby by that, the pocketbook edition.
Where people would come over and look at my pair of Mac SE computers and guffaw, laugh, chuckle, like what in the world is going on? But it's a technology that works for me, even though it's really become an antiquated computer.
This is the amazing voice-activated flashing light from the 70s. Every high school kid had to have one of these in his room with incense and black lights and shag carpeting. You had to have all of these things.